Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're really digging into, well, a pretty fascinating corner of strategic gameplay. It's something called the League of Legends Subpersonalities Tournament. Now, look, even if you've never touched a video game controller, honestly, stick with us because this deep dive, it's all about pulling out those, universal lessons. Strategy, adaptation, teamwork, things that apply way beyond any digital arena. Our source material for this is an incredible stack of detailed notes and excerpts. They outline one specific, really nail-biting match, Match A7, Kelly versus Tira. So our mission today is basically to cut through the noise. We want to pinpoint the critical turning points, find those flashes of strategic brilliance, and I think most importantly, understand the why. The why behind how this very competitive match actually played out. We want to show you how these complex strategies unfold and how even small decisions can ripple through an entire game and hopefully offer some insights you can use, well, anywhere, really. To really get this match, though, we need to understand the teams, the combatants themselves. We've got two very distinct teams, Kelly and Tira, and each brought their own unique character compositions and core ideas to the fight.
That's right. It's crucial. Let's start with Kelly's team. The notes call them Nature's Grace. Their team was built around these specific digital characters, or champions, as they're called. Illaoi in the top lane, that's usually for a tougher, more solo character up top. Then Ivern in the jungle, that area between the lanes, key for map control and surprises. Taliyah in mid lane, central lane, often spellcasters. Ashe as their ADC, the main damage dealer, long range. And Nami as support, focused on healing and helping Ashe mainly. Their whole style. It was about team cohesion, really, using what's called poke and heal. So dealing small bits of damage from far away while keeping their own health up. They were good at setting up objectives, like dragons controlling zones to keep enemies back, and relying heavily on sustain, just lasting longer in fights. They wanted to sort of grind opponents down.
Okay, poke and heal, zoning, sustain. Got it. And Tira, arcane strategist. Sounds different.
Yeah, quite different. Tira's team featured Swain up in top lane, Fiddlesticks in the jungle, a character known for, well, fear and surprise attacks, Karma in the mid lane, Varus as their ADC, another long-range damage dealer but with different tools than Ashe, and Morgana as support, known for her control abilities. Their approach. It emphasized layered control, using abilities together to lock people down. Vision denial was big for them, making parts of the map dark and dangerous for Kelly. They aimed for zone dominance, especially around objectives, and they scaled really well with area of effect damage hitting multiple people at once.
Oh, okay, wow. Very different philosophies. Here's where it gets really interesting then. Knowing those basic setups, what were the kind of built-in strengths and weaknesses each team had before anything even happened?
Well, for Kelly, their strengths were pretty clear. That excellent sustain and poke we mentioned made them really strong in open fights, especially around things like dragons, where they could spread out, chip away, heal up. They were also quite hard to dive, meaning it was difficult for Tyr to just rush their backline. They had strong disengaged tools, abilities to push enemies back or escape.
Okay, good defense, good poke.
Yeah.
What about the downsides?
Their main weaknesses were lower burst damage. They couldn't just instantly blow someone up, which meant they needed time and space to really set up their plays effectively. Right. And that made them vulnerable to surprise engages, if Tira could catch them off guard.
Right, makes sense. So Tira, what were their advantages?
Tira excelled with strong fog of war control. Using the darkness, the unseen areas. They were super punishing with their zone denial around objectives. Made it really hard for Kelly to even approach. Plus, they generally had more consistent scaling, getting stronger throughout the game, and reliable ways to start fights. Their engaged tools were quite solid.
And their weaknesses?
They could be a bit slow to start. Their early game wasn't, overpowering, and they were somewhat fragile if their key members got caught out of position. And similar to Kelly, actually, they lacked that raw, instantaneous burst damage. More about sustained damage and control over time.
So, okay, we have these two distinct styles, Kelly's patient poke versus Tira's calculated layering. How did this actually play out in the early game, say the first 15 minutes?
It was a really interesting initial phase, bit of a dance. Top lane, you had Illaoi and Swain just trading blows, no kills. Illaoi tried to apply pressure, Swain just sustained, held his ground near his tower. Mid lane, Taliyah and Karma, kind of a range standoff. Karma maybe pushed the lane a bit more, but Taliyah farmed safely, got her minions, avoided any ganks from Fiddlesticks. And bot lane, Ashe and Nami poked like they wanted to, but Morgana's Black Shield, that ability that stops crowd control, made it really tough to land anything significant. So no kills there either initially.
So cautious start overall, no big fireworks right away.
Not in terms of kills, no. But the first major objective contest came at 10 minutes. The Dragon. Both teams moved towards it. Kelly actually secured it with a really precise smite from Ivern, their jungler.
Okay, so advantage Kelly there.
Momentarily. But this is where Tira's strategy started to show. Fiddlesticks. He used his ultimate ability, launching himself from the fog of war completely unseen, landed right on Kelly's team, got first blood, the first kill of the game on Nami, the support. That immediately forced Kelly to back off despite getting the dragon buff. So after that skirmish, Tira actually had a 1-0 kill lead, even though Kelly was slightly ahead in minion score and tower health was pretty even.
Wow. Okay. That Fiddlesticks play sounds huge. It wasn't just a kill, was it? It feels like it shifted the whole dynamic right there.
Oh, absolutely. It was a perfect example of Tira's strategy, using the fog, the surprise element.
How does that translate, though? I mean, beyond the game. Is it just about surprise, or is it something deeper, like the power of an unseen threat?
It's definitely about the power of controlled aggression from an unseen position. That's a great way to put it. It's not just jump scaring someone, right? It's about disrupting their plan. Kelly had a plan. Get dragon, reset. Fiddlesticks appearing where they didn't expect completely broke that flow. In any strategy, business, sports, whatever, having that move your opponent isn't accounting for, it can flip everything. Kelly got the objective, yes, but they lost momentum. They were forced onto the defensive. Tira created chaos where Kelly expected orderly success.
That's fascinating. So Fiddlesticks really set the tone early, showing that impact can come from unexpected angles. Okay, so the game moves into the mid-game now, roughly 15 to 25 minutes in. This is usually when team fights ramp up, objectives get even more important. How did the teams adapt?
Well, Kelly adjusted smartly. They started grouping up earlier, trying to establish vision control around the river for the next dragon spawn. That was their flowing water idea, right? And patient setup. Tira, though, true to their arcane strategist name, played it cool. They waited, used the brushes, the shadows, patient predators. And when that second dragon fight did break out, guess who showed up again?
Fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks. Another ultimate, this time combined with a big shield and speed boost from Karma's empowered ability. A powerful engage. Now, Illaoi, from Kelly's side, responded with her own big ultimate, trying to turn the fight. But Tira's ADC, Varus, was positioned well and cleaned up with these long-range piercing arrows. Tira won the fight and secured this second dragon.
Okay, so Tira evening up the dragon count and winning the team fight. Things heating up.
Definitely. And then came a really, really crucial moment around 22, almost 23 minutes in. A Baron bait. Tira started attacking Baron Nashor, this super powerful monster, probably knowing Kelly would have to check it.
Trying to lure them in. Risky, but high reward.
It's exactly. Kelly sent Ashe's hawkshot ability to get vision, but it just didn't reveal quite enough. It wasn't deep enough into the Baron pit. Fiddlesticks seized that tiny moment of uncertainty. He used his flash ability, a short teleport over the wall. Instantly feared 3 members of Kelly's team. They just scattered uncontrollably. While they were feared, Swain, Tira's top laner, stepped up and just absorbed all the return damage Kelly tried to put out. He was incredibly tanky. It was perfectly executed. Tira aced Kelly, killed all 5 of them, and then easily took the Baron buff. Massive swing.
Wow, an ace and Baron. That's often game defining. Looking at that mid-game, especially that Baron play who really stood out for Tira, you mentioned Swain tanking everything. Was he the key?
I'd say Swain was absolutely the linchpin for Tira in that mid-game phase.
Yes.
His ability to root people, to hold them in place, combined with just how incredibly durable he was. It meant he could constantly pressure Kelly's squishier backline, Ashe and Taliyah, while just soaking up damage. In that Baron fight, he wasn't just a damage sponge. He controlled the space. He dictated where Kelly couldn't go.
Zone control under pressure?
Precisely. Forcing them into bad spots while Fiddlesticks caused chaos and Varus dealt the damage from safety. His resilience, his sheer presence in the middle of the fight enabled everything else. It's a masterclass in strategic resilience on the battlefield.
Okay, so Tira gets the Baron buff, a really powerful temporary boost. We're heading into the late game now, 25 minutes plus. The final pushes, maybe the Elder Dragon comes into play. How did Tira press their advantage?
They immediately used that Baron power, pushed straight down the mid lane. And they were successful. They broke Kelly's inhibitor in the mid lane. That starts spawning powerful super minions for Tira, putting constant pressure on Kelly's base.
It sounds like the beginning of the end for Kelly.
You'd think so, but Kelly showed amazing resilience here, really lived up to that flowing water idea. They managed to hold their base. A huge Nami ultimate, that big wave, pushed Tira back. And Taliyah used her wall ability perfectly to block Tira's path, splitting them up. They stalled the siege, bought themselves crucial time for the Baron buff to wear off. Really well-played defense.
Impressive hold. But the pressure's still on. What about the Elder Dragon? That's the next big objective, right? Even stronger than Baron.
Yeah, Elder Dragon is massive. It basically executes low-health enemies. Huge fight decider. And that fight happened around 33 minutes. Kelly actually got the better initial setup this time. They controlled the area first, zoned Tira away, seemed like they had the advantage. But then, a critical mistake. A missed ultimate arrow from Ashe, their main long-range stun. It just sailed wide. And that tiny opening, that was all Tira needed.
Oh no. Fiddlesticks
You
again.
guessed it. Fiddlesticks ulted in from behind, from the flank. Karma shielded and sped up her team to follow up. Swain dived right into the middle of Kelly's team, his own ultimate draining health and keeping him alive. He was just unkillable. Varus, amidst all that chaos, found the angles and secured a triple kill. And just like that, the fight turned. Tira wiped most of Kelly's team and took the Elder Dragon.
Elder Dragon secured. That feels final.
Pretty much. With that Elder Dragon buff, Tira's damage was just overwhelming. They pushed down the bottom lane this time. Kelly tried one last defense, but Morgana landed a root, then another ability. It chained Taliyah down, caught her out, and that was it. Tira pushed into the base and destroyed the Nexus, ending the game at 37 minutes, 42 seconds.
What a match. You described it perfectly. Slow burning, wave crashing, very macro heavy, lots of strategy, zoning, healing, mind games. Incredible. So give us the final summary, the scoreboard stats.
Yep, so the winner. Tira. First blood went to Tira, back at that first dragon fight. Kelly did get the first dragon, remember. But Tira secured the first Baron and the first inhibitor. Game duration, like I said, 37.42. And the total kills were Tira 15, Kelly 10. Closer than you might think, given the objective control. But Tira won the key fights.
All right, 15 to 10. So after watching all that, analyzing the twists and turns, who stands out as the overall MVP? The single most valuable player for the entire match?
For me, the overall MVP has to be Swain, Tira's top laner. His KDA kills, deaths, assists was 5 kills, only 1 death, and 8 assists. Really impressive. And the notes highlight this too. He apparently took something like 40% of all the damage dealt to his team. Just absorbed so much.
Only died once while taking nearly half the team's damage. Wow.
Exactly. His zone control in those big fights, his sheer survivability, it just enabled Tira to execute their strategy time and time again. He was the unshakable core.
Okay, solid pick. Any honorable mentions? Someone else who really shaped the game?
Definitely. Honorable mention absolutely has to go to Fiddlesticks.
Yeah.
Those game-changing ultimates at the first dragon and especially at Baron were just pivotal moments. And beyond those big plays, just his constant pressure from the fog of war throughout the mid-game. You could see Kelly having to play more cautiously, using their flashes defensively, always worried about where he'd pop up. He was that constant unseen threat.
Yeah, the fear factor, quite literally.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here, the source notes really capture this well. They compare the game to like a philosophical conversation through league mechanics, which I love. Kelly flowed like water around every obstacle, always adapting, surviving, pushing back. But Tira spoke in slow, confident sentences. Their moves felt more deliberate, more layered, more calculated. And in the end, the notes conclude, Tira's team comp and strategy was just slightly more layered, more calculated, more complete. And that slight edge led to the victory.
That's a great way to put it. It really shows that idea of mutual respect in motion, two very different, very valid strategies clashing.
It really does. And this raises an important question, I think, for anyone listening. When you look at Kelly's fluid adaptation versus Tira's calculated layering, how do those dynamics play out for you? Patience versus aggression, visible action versus unseen pressure. Where do you see that in your own strategic challenges?
Yeah, that's a great point. Whether you're, in a game, managing a project, at work, or even just tackling a personal goal, think about that balance, the power of knowing when to be patient, maybe wait in the shadows like Tira did, and when to strike decisively. Sometimes the moves that flow like water, like Kelly's team, they're brilliant, but they can be countered by something just a bit more layered, a bit more calculated. It's about knowing when to adapt and flow, and when to set up those careful, inescapable layers. Something to think about next time you face your own strategic puzzle.